Mr. Twinkles, we got some comments. Let's go to the YouTube comment section! Lego Master 12893 says, Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're saying that the liberals are saying black lives are less fit? I've never seen such a wrong description of white privilege. The whole point of the Black Lives Matter movement is to point out that we are all human beings and should treat each other equally. The whole point of it is to raise awareness that some people don't see black people as equal and to point out that it is wrong. Golly, Mr. Twinkle, so far so good, right? But I have a few notes. Hey there, Lego Man. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Almost. Like, that's almost what I'm saying, but not quite. I'm saying that liberalism says black people are less fit and white people are more fit, or as they say, privileged. I'm saying evolution says black people are less evolved. I'm saying that leftist politics are based on the foundational assumption of white supremacy. This is not the same as accusing all leftists or evolutionists or Black Lives Matter protesters of being those kind of racists. Some people are, of course, but some people take labels without knowing what they mean. Many people assert positions they do not understand. Take yourself, for example. You say, the whole point of Black Lives Matter movement is to point out that we are all human beings and should treat each other equally. But clearly this is wrong.
This movement called Black Lives Matter, I think we talked about that a little bit. It's as bogus and as phony a movement as the notion that O.J. Simpson is innocent from having killed 2 people. It's a fraud.
Maybe you're mistaking the people sharing the hashtag with the organization it stands for, but the political organization Black Lives Matter is about money. They take in millions of dollars every time they spread the story that a white cop has killed an unarmed, innocent, nonviolent black man, and in almost every case, the story is a complete lie.
One of the most significant events of this century happened in the early afternoon of August 9, 2014. It took place in Ferguson, Missouri, a city on the outskirts of St. Louis. So embedded in the popular mind is this event that if you just say the name Ferguson, everyone knows what you're talking about. Police brutality and racial injustice. The shooting in Ferguson led to nights of riots and gave fuel to a new social movement, Black Lives Matter. True or false? A young, unarmed black man, Michael Brown, 19, was killed by a white police officer, Darren Wilson. The answer is true. True or false? Wilson stopped Brown for no good reason. False. Wilson, driving a police SUV, had just received a call on his radio that a local convenience store had been robbed. He saw 2 men walking in the middle of the nearby street who met the description of the store thieves. Wilson drove up to them. When he asked the 2 men to move to the sidewalk, one of the men, Michael Brown, refused. Officer Wilson then attempted to get out of his car, but Brown blocked the door, punching the officer through the open window. As Brown tried to grab Wilson's gun, a struggle ensued. Wilson managed to fire his gun, wounding Brown in the hand. True or false? Michael Brown's back was turned to Officer Wilson when he was shot and killed. False. After being shot in the hand, Brown ran away from the police car. Wilson got out of the vehicle and pursued him. Brown then suddenly turned and charged Officer Wilson. Here's how one witness whose testimony closely fits the forensic evidence described the scene. Brown ran towards the officer full charge. The officer fired several shots at him, and Mike Brown continuously came forward in the charging motion. And when he stopped, that's when the officer ceased fire. When he charged once more, the officer returned fire with, I would say, 3 to 4 shots. And that's when Mike Brown finally collapsed. The Brown family's own medical expert, respected pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, also conceded this point. The wounds Brown suffered were consistent with Brown charging toward Wilson, not running away. True or false? Before Michael Brown was shot and killed, he raised his hands above his head and shouted, "Hands up, don't shoot." False. Federal investigators from the Department of Justice found no credible evidence that Brown ever raised his hands in a don't shoot gesture or in any way heeded the officer's commands for him to surrender. The federal report concluded that witnesses who originally stated Brown had his hands up in surrender recanted their original accounts, admitting that they did not witness the shooting or parts of it. Investigators also concluded Brown never uttered the now iconic phrase. Again from the report. The media has widely reported that there is witness testimony that Brown said, "Don't shoot," as he held his hands above his head. In fact, our investigation did not reveal any eyewitness who stated that Brown said, "Don't shoot." The statement that an innocent black man was killed by a racist cop in Ferguson, Missouri, is a lie. Those who say otherwise are either willfully deceiving you for their own purposes or are wholly ignorant of the facts.
Right now, the narrative that is being set is that the system is inherently racist, white privilege, yada, 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 and when cops see any young black man, they go into Lloyd Christmas mode. To the point where places like Black Lives Matter, leftist websites, even MTV News are pushing this idea that innocent black men are being shot for no reason at all. Okay, Michael Brown was not shot for stolen cigarillos. What happened at that convenience store was a robbery, not shoplifting. There was use of violent force. He was identified as a suspect in that robbery. He reached for an officer's gun. But hands up, don't shoot! His hands weren't up. He was punching a cop in the face and reaching for his gun. When that happens, sometimes officers are trained to shoot. The idea that a racist cop picked off some gentle giant in Michael Brown is entirely inaccurate, as the rest of these examples. Clearly, Alton Sterling wasn't shot for selling CDs. He was shot because someone called in a report that he was threatening a homeless man with a gun. He was tased first and he continued to resist arrest, and he had a firearm on him, which I'm guessing was illegal because this guy had a rap sheet a mile long, including being a registered sex offender and having done time in prison for violent crimes. This wasn't a routine pat-down. This was an altercation with a longtime felon who didn't want to go back to the slammer. Is it unfortunate? Yes. Was he arrested and shot for selling CDs? No. Only Mr. Clark was not shot. For attending a birthday party, he was shot for preventing paramedics from assisting with an assault victim. He wasn't handcuffed, he refused to show his hands, and there is DNA evidence showing that he reached for a cop's gun. He wasn't there to play balloon tricks. Almost forgot, little tidbits. The assault victim that he was interfering with the police trying to help, it was his girlfriend. Yeah, he was the one who assaulted her. What a gem. But by all means, please continue with the narrative that cops are simply out there hunting down young black men because they're attending birthday parties and selling CDs. No, he wasn't killed for walking around with a knife at all. He was a gang member, a currently active gang member. They found him after a report from a stabbing victim at large, still holding the knife. He continued to hold the knife and refused to put down the knife, even after being pepper sprayed and shot with a beanbag gun. And then he started walking toward the cops with the knife, as you can see in this video. So yes, they put 20 rounds in him. India Beatty holding a fake gun. That's not what happened. It was 1:20 a.m. It was dark. Cops were investigating an unrelated case. They saw her getting into an argument with an unarmed person, and she threatened him with the gun. She then refused to comply with police officers and was shot as a result. Unfortunate, yes. An example of clear-cut racism? No, of course not.
Black Lives Matter doesn't care what the truth is because the lie makes them millions of dollars. And some of that money goes to the Democrats who control these cities where these murders, or alleged murders I should say, take place, and where black schools are expensive failures, and where black neighborhoods are full of gangs and drugs. For a decade, Black Lives Matter has spread lies and divisiveness. Black police have been killed. Black businesses and homes have been destroyed, and Black Lives Matter has gotten richer and more influential every time it happens. And they've given money to the party that controls those cities and keeps them from getting better. Also, their stated goals are greatly about monetary gain for themselves and for other blacks only. The organization Black Lives Matter and its defenders have attacked statements of all lives matter.
Black Lives Matter versus all lives matter. I mean, how do you respond to that? The thing is, y'all, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, okay, those who promote the Black Lives Matter narratives, they themselves have already put them in a separate category. The reasonable thing to do would be along with all lives matter. See, you would think that Black Lives Matter would say that all lives matter. Our lives too, right? We're included in all that is valuable as human life, right? But they're not, but by trying to demand that Black Lives Matter, they have segregated themselves. They have made themselves into their own special category. They have committed the sin of segregation. I thought segregation was a bad thing, but because they demand to be seen as black. Meanwhile, if you see people as black people, that in itself is racist.
Equality and inclusion are not their goal, just as it is not in any form of leftism. Leftist political correctness is divisive and teaches many of the same ideologies that the KKK or the Nazis used to teach. First and foremost, the lie that there are these imagined races of people evolving in different stages from apes. Then, that we must identify people based primarily on their race and make certain decisions about them based on their race. That's political correctness, kids. But let me ask, do you really think that anyone hasn't heard that some people don't see black people as equal, and they haven't heard that it's wrong? If Black Lives Matter exists to raise awareness of this kind, their job was done a long time ago. Just bring back the Cosby Show and let's stop burning down cities. Also, why do you think black people are this other group that should be considered in just one big basket like this?
Those who promote the Black Lives Matter narratives, they themselves have already put them in a separate category. They have committed the sin of segregation.
I assume you mean to say that you think black people are equal. I mean, you haven't actually said that, and most people who share the Black Lives Matter hashtag never say Black Lives Matter to me. They just say, they matter, and just release that, like a dove into the night sky. And like I asked in this video and in others, equal how and to who? Because if evolution is true and we accept Darwinism, then black people are to white people what the orangutan is to black Africans. There is no equality on Darwin. And if we accept the picture of Black America painted by the left, then again, like I said in this video and others, there is no equality. White people have won, the game is over. And you are not being asked by the left to believe that there is real equality. That's not what it's about. Leftism teaches equality like they claim Bruce Jenner is a woman. It's an obvious lie, and we all know it's a lie, but you're required to accept and preach the lie, or you get punished by the crowd. And the left is not asking for a level playing field, and neither is the organization of Black Lives Matter. They want to be the privileged. They want the power and the control. They want money and free luxuries. But again, they want white America to give those things to blacks because their underlying assumption is that blacks cannot achieve it on their own. They need white people, leftist Democrats, to save them from their position.
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Political correctness is built on racist lies.
And you ain't black.
Again, just consider the hashtag, Black Lives Matter. But to who? No one is being asked to claim that Black Lives Matter to me. They just ambiguously matter, whatever that means. But like I keep saying, on atheism and evolutionism, no lives matter. We are chemical machines dancing to our DNA. But you know that's not true. You know that it's not true that we're just chemical machines dancing to our DNA. You know that black lives do matter because they're human lives and human life has value. You know that. You know that all human lives are valuable. But do you know why all human lives are valuable? This is the point I've been trying to get across. It is because we, all of us, are all brothers and sisters, one family made in the image of God. There are no races, no human species. There is one race, the human race, the race of Adam. And there is no Black America. First, because there are no black people. There's just human beings. There's not this imagined subspecies of humanity that should get their own color label. There's just one race. And secondly, because people of African heritage differ in every way that people can differ, and are the same as any other human in the way that all humans are the same. To pretend that there is a Black America is saying dark-skinned people are all the same. And if I remember correctly, that's as racist as the KKK ever was. Again, political correctness, KKK and Nazis, they're meeting a lot, okay? The Venn diagram has a huge overlap, and it's time we start realizing that and doing something about it. I don't like to get political, but politics is where worldview means something. It makes things happen, okay? I talk about evolution, I talk about atheism, and I don't like to get involved in politics and talk about who to vote for and that kind of stuff, but this is where those worldview issues, the worldview that you accept, makes a difference to the lives of everybody around you. Because at some point when you are making decisions, you're making it based on some worldview. And when you're making it based on evolution and atheism, it becomes racist. Even in the name of political correctness, even in the name of equality, even in the name of the organization of Black Lives Matter. Okay, the left, political correctness, in America, including the Black Lives Matter organization, are racist and systemically designed to keep racism alive, to keep divisiveness alive, to keep black Americans separate and at the bottom. I know not every Democrat or leftist wants this, but not everybody who voted for Hitler hated the Jews. The result was the same, and it could have been different if they had taken the time to learn the truth. We still have time. Okay, before November, turn off CNN and dig a little deeper. And if you want the country to change, it won't be by spreading a hashtag or pushing political correctness. It will be by accepting the truth in the Bible that we, the human race, are all one species, one race, one family, made in the image of God and saved by Jesus Christ. That's the only hope we have. So, thank you for your comments, and remember, Jesus loves you.